Okay, good afternoon YouTube and welcome to the weekend. Good afternoon YouTube and welcome back to Phatkat Collections. Happy Saturday. Well, today I want to do kind of another unorthodox video. And this is just really for my subscribers, just so you guys can kind of get to know a little bit about, my watch journey. Now, my camcorder records 16 minutes, and I'm going to record 16 minutes, see how far I can get with this. I don't really like to go through and edit and have to put things together and cut things together and piece them together. I like to just kind of upload them and then just send them on their way onto YouTube. But this one might be a video that you might find it goes longer than 16 minutes depending on how much we can get done. So as you can see behind me here, I have 3 watch boxes. Now these are watches in my collection that I really don't wear anymore. Some of these watches go back 20 years or so. And so a lot of them, back when I was younger and I wasn't really into collecting watches as much, I didn't really collect Invictas, I didn't really know about Invictas, or any of the other wonderful brands I have, like Alexander or Delta T or Sterling. I mean, for me to spend $50 on a watch was like, that's my budget. That's all I'm going to spend. And I was a lot younger too, so I didn't make as much money. And so I just wasn't as into it. I get myself a watch and that was kind of the end of it. I never really thought about actually getting something I guess I didn't see I didn't have the buzz back then for collecting watches, the addiction, the obsession. But nonetheless, I did accumulate many watches over the years, and there was a point at which back in the day, over 15 years ago, I did actually sell watches, and they were like just the basic, kind of inexpensive, fashion watches like the hip hop watches that really didn't have any quality whatsoever. And quality is always going to be debatable. Some people are going to say the Invictas don't have quality, or the Aragons suck, or this brand sucks. Everybody's got an opinion. In my opinion, the Invicta quality, the Aragons, the ones I've been sharing with you guys most recently in the last couple of years, have exceptional quality. Anything by Invicta, anything by Aragon, Sterling, Delta T, lots of brands I've shared with you guys. I'm always honest with you. These are the ones I want to share with you guys that really are just really what I consider fashion watches. They range in price from some $15 all the way up to, actually even less, some $1, all the way up to, I don't know, maybe $100. So why don't we just this is just going to be a fun video I want to share with you guys and just kind of maybe tell you if I can remember a story for each one. Now, some of the watches that I have dating back are in my safe, and I didn't dig those out because, I don't want to go through every watch I have. I think these are just sitting around and I haven't done much with them. I just keep them on display because they're part of the collection. They're part of the hobby. And so I want to share these with you guys today. So let's go grab, there's no order here. And these boxes here, if you're interested in one of these boxes, I got these on eBay. The only thing with these watches is that when you start getting involved in anything over 47 millimeters, there's not a lot of room in here. They each hold 20 watches. They're very inexpensive. It's like a faux leather, and there's a little bit of a drawer here you can pull out, which on some of them, I got one that's kind of bad, but it still works. Nonetheless, they're decorative, right? And they're cheap. So why don't we just dig right in? This is what it looks like here, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to pick up one of these. Not a bad looking box. I think they were only like 20 bucks. All right, so let's just start right off here. And all right, so this one here is called if you ever heard of a company called Geneva, actually Geneva, I believe Geneva is actually a legitimate company. Geneva is a company who made these very, very inexpensive, back in the hip hop days. Or not that back in the hip-hop days, we still have hip-hop, I still like hip-hop, but back in the days where the Jacob & Company watches came out, they were 5-time zone watches, they looked very similar to this, and actually have a Geneva style of one of these. This one here, I don't actually know if this one's even the Geneva style, but nonetheless, I'm just going to show, these are very, these are very cheap watches, guys. There's no quality here whatsoever. These are just strictly fashion watches. So this is what it looks like here. This is, again, I believe it's Geneva. I'm not even going to take it off the pillow here because there's no point in just showing you the entire watch. But it's got kind of like this diamond-like crystal. This is around the 5-time zone thing was huge with Jacob & Company. Again, this is just fake time zones. None of these actually work. Totally decorative. This thing was like 15, 20 bucks. And so I got that when I used to work with a guy, or I had a deal with a guy, and I'll go ahead and drop his website because he's still in business, and I think he provides a certain type of product for people, and it's called ugleam.com. His name's Steve, and we used to have a deal where I had a website. I used to own a company, a small little website, and basically I would work with referrals, and anything that was sold on that site, I would handle the customer service aspect of it, answer questions, and he would fulfill the orders. And it didn't go on that long. It was kind of unorganized because people would be asking me, where's my watch, where's my order, and I'd have to email that information over to Steve. He'd have to get back to me. Sometimes he didn't get back to me, so sometimes there was chargebacks. It was kind of messy. We decided to kind of separate, split ways there. But nonetheless, this is kind of the product he sold, and in some regards still does on his website. Just these really low-end fashion watches, and he has nicer ones on there too. But that's kind of what they got. And then some of these, because I got them so cheap, and that was my style back then, was these just kind of cheap hip hop watches. I accumulated a lot of them. So another one I have here, this is another Geneva, very, very inexpensive. Again, just a basic watch. I mean, that's it, I mean, no name movement. I mean, nothing to be said about this thing as far as quality. I mean, it's not a quality watch at all. Not even I mean, when you look, like I said, the thing about watches is that there's something for everybody. And, this is, I mean, a watch that, I mean, if you're wearing it, it doesn't look bad, but I mean, you could feel this. This is just, it's a cheap watch. I mean, very cheap. I mean, you'd probably make this in China for $1 or something, right? Another one here. This was actually funny because this one here is called the Geneva Elite, and this one here is kind of got some scratches on it. Or I don't know what that is on there, but that's it right here. And this, it might look familiar to you Invicta lovers. This was basically when Invicta came out with their Lupa, which is one of their very old watches, the Lupa. People copied it. So the Geneva Elite basically copied the dome design. This is probably isn't even glass. It's probably plastic. I don't really know, but it's got the fake stones on it, and it's made to look like a Lupa. Another one here. Again, this one I took the band off. Another eBay special. This one's called Ice King. These are kind of fun. I don't really care if you guys for those knuckleheads out there who are going to comment, and I'm putting something for my subscribers just to kind of see the journey of my watches. This one here is an Ice King. Like, so I would never wear any of these, anymore. But you have the fake stones on the inside. Again, this is like $15 on eBay. I mean, really, really cheap watch. Another one here was actually a gift. This came with a wallet, and this is from one of my supervisors who was nice enough to just, it was my birthday, and she wanted to get me something. So it came with, it's a no-name brand. It's very, very cheap, but it came with a wallet and a business card holder. I don't even know who makes it. I've never actually even worn it. But nonetheless, there it is, But it sits there, in the box. This one here is actually a gift. This is very old. One guy asked me the other day, do I have any digital watches? And here's one by Armatron. This is an anodigital, so you have your digital and your analog. Naturally, the battery's dead. This was a gift from, I believe, my parents. It was like a stocking stuff for 1 year. I think it was like maybe like 30 or 40 bucks. Armatron. This next one here is what I was telling you about, the replica Geneva Jacob & Company, non-working time zones. That's what the Jacob & Company looks like, although the Jacob & Companies are very nice, fine timepieces. This is just they were so popular, all these companies were putting their name on them and just making these cheap hip-hop watches, Another one here was a gift from my family. This one, I went through a phase when I was younger that I loved dragons, back in the Seiko days, where everybody, I don't know, Drew Hill and Seiko, he always wore the dragon. That was kind of like his theme. And so I was really into dragons. And here's one by Relic. It's got some flames on it. This one here has got a digital display. And normally you would see like a dragon and flames on the background there. So, it's still a nice gift. I wore it a few times. All right, next one here. This was a gift from my buddy who went overseas. My friend Joel. He was nice enough to pick me up just as he went over. I think he was over in China or Thailand, and that's like, I mean, over there you get all kinds of stuff for cheap. I mean, and this is basically a replica Breitling. Very, very cheap. I felt replicas and I felt replicas. This is a very, very inexpensive replica watch. Nonetheless, though, I have it. It's amazing that I think these things you can buy in the streets over there for like 15, 20 bucks. But it's amazing. I mean, just that you can get something like that. Again, I don't wear it because I don't really believe in, I wear genuine things, and when I was younger, this would be something I would wear because, when you're younger, people recognize the brand, so it makes you look better, I guess. But I was never really one for not wearing things that were legitimate. So, but nonetheless, it was a gift, and I'm happy he got it. Back in my watch selling days also, this is another one that I've featured in a few, or I've shown in a few videos just for size comparison purposes. This is your Rolex, your imitation Rolex, of course. This one here I actually got as a gift from a gentleman who lived out in Brooklyn, and we had a deal back in the day. I was selling a few watches here and there on eBay, and they weren't actually fake Rolexes or anything like that. They were like kind of the hip-hop style watches, but he had access to this stuff in the streets of Brooklyn, and it was my birthday, and he just sent me over just an inexpensive replica Rolex, which is really amazing. I mean, just that they have stuff like this out there. And the thing about replica stuff, some guys, will say to me, all right, that's it for that box. Some guys will say, hey, what do you think about this or that? And, the thing with the replica watch industry and the fakes is that, some people are really against it because, one, it is against the law. It's illegal. It's copyright infringement. Some people are really passionate about it, especially the watch lovers. For me, yeah, it's wrong. I don't personally buy them. I would never buy one. You can get amazing, great quality watches with reputable brands like Invicta. But people do ask me about, well, who do people make fake Invictas? There probably are a few out there, but for the most part, they don't. And when you start looking at the quality of an Invicta and the quality of if you were to find the fake one, I'm not saying there's ones that aren't inspired, and I'll show you one in a second here. But for the most part, it's pretty hard to find a replica Invicta. Pretty hard. So you're pretty safe buying from a reputable dealer on eBay. Now, if you go to eBay, and you find that this one guy's got 2 sales, probably move on. But when you have a guy who's got, 50,000 sales of Invicta watches and different watches, usually these guys are legit. And if you have any questions about a seller on eBay, I bought a lot of Invictas and a lot of stuff on eBay. So if you ever have a question about that, drop me a comment. I'll tell you who's legit and who's not. I do have my favorites, and I'll be more than happy to pass those on to you guys. But as far as as far as the replica industry, the thing is, some people, their argument will be like, oh, well, you're taking sales away from, those actual companies. Well, not really, because the guy who's going to buy the $5,000 Rolex, he's not the guy. He's not going to be like, ooh, I can get the fake one for $200? Oh, he's not going to do that. People who buy those are ones who really can't afford the real deal, and they want to have the fake one for whatever reason, so they can act like they have money, I guess. That's really the only reason I think you'd buy a fake one. Unless, of course, sometimes some people do own a real one, and I've heard of people buying a fake one just because they'll wear that if they're going to go into maybe an area of town they don't really feel too comfortable in, or maybe they're going on vacation, they're scared to lose it. Whatever the reason, it's none of my business. But the one thing about the replicas, the only thing that's kind of concern is that there's no quality control. A lot of things are manufactured in they're not legitimate shops, or factories, so you don't really know what materials are going into that, so that could always be an issue. But I don't know, I wore them some for years and I never had any kind of issues, but just something to think about. For what you get with legitimate brands, there's really no reason to get a replica watch unless, of course, you are trying to front that you have money, and I don't do that. So, all right, so on to the next box here. Again, back in the day, these watches. This one here, I got actually within the last. My box is falling apart here. This is that's what I'm saying here. So, guys, sometimes you get good things and sometimes you get bad things. This needs to be re-glued. Okay. That doesn't mean every one of these boxes is bad. Okay. It's for you guys out there who are like, oh, dude, I heard a comment. This brand sucks. No, got one bad one. Okay. The box is 8 years old. All right. All right. So this one here is a G-Shock. Again, not a real G-Shock. This is a no-name brand off eBay. I got this just a basic digital watch. The battery is dead. I got like 3 of these. They were like $1 each. I got this just as a work watch. Before I wore my Invictas, I was so scared I was going to scratch something. And I didn't know how they were going to hold up, but I wore these for a while, and they served the purpose, but now I don't wear these anymore because I always wear my Invicta watches, and if I want to use a beater watch, I'll wear like my Pro Diver. That's my most inexpensive, but to be honest with you, I wear all my watches to work, and I have no problems with them. So anyway, that's what you can get for just an imitation G-Shock. This is not a fake G-Shock. This is just the G-Shock name is not copyrighted, so people can just come out with a watch that says Sport, call it G-Shock, and as long as they don't put Casio on it, you're not violating any laws there. Another one here, this one's another Geneva Elite. You guys can kind of see what my style was back in the day, okay? So here's this Geneva Elite, and this is a an inspired watch by a brand called Icetech. And Icetech is still in business. They make a multiple time zone watch. They're really hip hop styled, all iced out, you know, that kind of look. This is kind of their design. It's the only watch design I've ever seen like this. And they're very expensive, but not this one, of course. But that's it right there. Geneva Elite and Icetech inspired watch. This one here is another Geneva Elite. No, this one here is a Simon & Company. This is back when Jacob & Company was super popular with, I mean, a lot of the movie stars. And people still buy them, but their brand has kind of changed where they're more, not, I would say they kind of, that 5 times a watch was, every rapper was wearing one. I mean, Stallone was wearing one. Not that he's a rapper, but some guys are like, oh, anyway, Stallone had one with the big skull on it with diamonds. So they're all about the ice. This was a company that came out, again, very cheap, what I would say just garbage watch. I mean, there's nothing to it. But, you know, at the time it was just, it's an accessory, you know. I mean, cheap. Fake time zones, of course. Simon & Company, they came out with their own inspired version of these. I mean, these are just really, really terrible. But what's funny about this stuff is that they were, like, the company was selling this stuff. Like, Ugleam was selling, and they were all over eBay. And you could still buy stuff like this on eBay. But people are paying like 30, 40 bucks. I mean, it's amazing somebody would spend $30, $40 or even $20 or something like this when you can put that, when you can get an Invicta watch for $65 that blows these away. I mean, it's amazing when you start. Another one, Geneva Elite. This was inspired by, I forget the name of the company, but it was like a world, like a half of a globe with a big giant crystal. I forget the name of the company who actually made the real deal, but that's inspired by that. Man, it's just an ugly watch. But nonetheless, at one point, you know, when you're 19 years old and you're going to the dance clubs and the bars and stuff like that, you know, this stuff is, you know, kind of cool back in the day, you know. I know a lot of you will disagree, and that's okay. This one I bought, again, is just a work watch. This watch is amazing to me because this watch here, I got at Kmart. And again, this is all before, this one I think was before the Invicta watches too. Is this one here, the battery still works. This thing must be like 9 years old, and the battery doesn't work well, but it's just a sharp digital watch, all black. Very hard to read. It is backlit, but I mean, just 20 bucks at Kmart. I wanted a black watch, and I got this piece of junk. Another one here. This was a gift. This is a no-name brand. This is just a cheap watch. I mean, nothing to it. This one here, there it is. There's nothing really to say about it. Made in China, like everything else. This was a gift by a coworker. We just did a little $20 gift exchange, and she knew I liked watches, so she got me one of these. Again, we're going back here like, you know, 15 years, 20 years here, guys. Another one here. This one here is just a cheap, you know, one of these watches you'd find one of the, I'm not going to name the store, they're out of business, but watch called Rumors. I wanted something just with the red, and so there's just a cheap stainless steel red face watch. My mom was working at this big box store at the time, and it got a huge discount, so I mean, I think it was like 10 or 12 bucks. There used to be a place in the mall also, and this is back, some of you may recognize this. This was back when Gucci came out with their G watch. It was really popular. I had a couple friends who were, you know, not the most law-abiding, so they had the money to go buy the real Gucci watch. But this one here was one by Geneva. Again, you can buy these at the mall, like 2 for $20. Just a fake G-Shock, or G-Watch, basically. And the funny thing is, I've always liked that G-Watch. I mean, I always have. It's small, but... Alright, so when I talk about Invicta Replicas, this is what I was talking about here. This is not a replica, but this is designed to look like... this is inspired from the Coalition Forces by Invicta, which I used to have one. I did a review on it. It was a great watch. I just never really wore it all that much, so I ended up selling it. Got my money back for it, of course, and I put it towards a different Invicta. But nonetheless, this is a blatant copy. And this is by a company called Infantry. And you can buy these all over eBay. 15, 20 bucks. And what's crazy, I did a review on, some of you guys asked me, what do I think of Swole watches? Now, I never had a Swole watch in my possession yet. I have reached out to them. They have declined at this point to send me a sample. I will keep trying because I do want to give them a fair review. But basically, when you compare a Swole watch to this, they are identical. Now, when you compare this to an Invicta Coalition Forces, you can see the inspiration, but it's not identical in any way. Compares to a Swole watch, this looks exactly the same in every detail. But the Swole watch claims that they're different. They have a Swiss-made movement, and they actually have a sapphire crystal. Now, I can't, say whether that's true or not. They probably do, but I did do research on the movement, and they do use a Swiss movement. We all know that Swiss does not mean made in Switzerland. Swiss is not an indication really of quality because the spectrum is so broad. Nonetheless, they do get away with saying that, and it's still like a $5 Swiss made movement in the Swole watches. I think it's by me. Who was it by? I forget who it was. I thought it was Miyota, but maybe not. But and sapphire crystal. So they do those two things on it. They can say Swiss made, but overall the watch is exactly the same, other than the band difference, the color, and they charge like $150 to $200. So I've been wanting to get my hands on one because some people are like, man, I bought them and I love them. And I just, I want you guys to, if you like the Swole watch, I'm not disrespecting them at all. I mean, that's fine. Buy what you like, but compare this to an Invicta. There's a night and day difference. All right, and so the last one, this watch, I don't know how old this is. I must have got this when I was a kid. This watch must be 25, 30 years old. And this is back in the day, back in the 80s. This is an Armatron, kind of like Casio, which actually still makes the data bank calculator watch. This one here was Armatron's version. It says lotto, time, and calculator. So I think this thing could pick your lotto numbers or something like that. So nonetheless, it's still pretty interesting to just have it in my collection, It's just crazy, And a lot of that stuff from the 80s is still popular. It's pretty funny. You can go check out the Casio website. They still make it. All gold. Yellow, I mean, not real gold, but you know what I mean. All right, so the final watch box I have here, and again, guys, we went past 16 minutes. We're at 20 minutes, so, I'm going to edit the video so it's pieced together. It'll just be a part 1 and part 2, but I'll combine them. All right, so this next one here, let me see if I have anything else. Oh, gosh, this is funny. So all those Jacob watches I told you about, they had a they have a changeable bezel. So each one came with a standard stainless steel bezel, and then you could buy the iced out bezel. So look at all these bezels I have. I mean, it's just, they just sit here because they don't, I don't wear that watch anymore. And they're not, and here's one of them here I'm going to show you. This is falling, this was a defect, and these are really, I mean, cheap watches. This was a replica. And so you had the threaded bezel, you could change the bezel out, which is kind of nice. But, it's funny, as cheap and garbage as this thing is, I mean, it's like, this thing is like 15 years old, and it hasn't held up. The hand fell off. I mean, there's stuff floating around in there, but that's what it looked like basically right there. That was the 5 time zone watch. Next one here, this is kind of fun. This is, if I can remember correctly, this was like the first watch I remember that I actually purchased myself. And this was back in 1996, and this watch is made by Elgin. I got this for like 50 bucks at Walmart. I like the two-tone. It's funny, even as a grown man, I still like the two-tone. Elgin. Elgin's a very old name, but this is a very cheap watch. I wish I could find the links to it. I can't. It doesn't even fit on my arm anymore. I was pretty. I mean, I'm still somewhat trim, but back then I was like 135 pounds. So this actually fit, but nonetheless, it's still pretty cool to have in the collection because it's. I remember going to Walmart. It's funny. I remember like yesterday and buying this because me and my friends were all trying to find interesting watches or jewelry and stuff because that was kind of where we were at that age, and I went and found that, and they were like, whoa. So then naturally that sparked me to go there and get another one because you guys know I love gold. Here's another one by a company called Waltham. Very, very old name. Again, these are very inexpensive watches. This one here I believe was about 50 bucks as well, but all two-tone gold, Still fun to have in the collection. What's funny is that even though these watches, the battery's dead, some of you folks say, oh man, this watch doesn't hold up or that doesn't hold up. These watches still work. I mean, I did put a battery in it not that long ago just to test it. They still work. And what's funny is this watch, I mean, even the finish on this thing, this is a pretty cheap watch. Yeah, the finish is kind of wearing off, but not horribly considering how old it is. So when you guys are like, oh, when you have this Invicta watch and the finish it wears off in a year, asinine, absolutely asinine. You can buy really cheap, crappy watches and the finish does not wear off. All right, so this next one, this is again back in the hip hop days. This was Simon and Company. This one, the time zones are actually functional on all 5 time zones. This is a huge one. Now I would never wear this at this point in my life, but it came with the case And again, it was like 50 bucks, I think, you know, and that's not cost, that's retail. I mean, just a cheap watch. But nonetheless, still when I throw it on the wrist every now and then just to see what it looks like. But it's big, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, Simon & Company 5 time zone watch. Next one here, again, this is this one here was actually a gift by an ex-girlfriend way back in the day. She never wore this, so this was a replica Gucci watch, the G watch I was telling you about. I don't know where she got it, but she didn't wear it. She knew I liked watches, so she gave it to me, and I wore it for a little while, but I can't wear anything like this anymore. This is way too small. I mean, but G watch. So, and then of course, you guys know, obviously, I really liked the G watch back in the day. At that same, let's see here, at that same booth I told you about in the mall, I went ahead and got the 2 for $20 Geneva iced out G watch. Again, these ones did not get a lot of wrist time, but they're still here in the collection, you know. All right, so next one here. This one here is actually, I don't know where I picked this one up. This is, again, an imitation Rolex watch. I don't know where I got this. I have no idea. I have no recollection of buying this, or maybe somebody gave it to me as a child. There it is. And I just put it on this band. The band is actually, I think it was my grandfather's band. And this one here, Spidel, and I believe it actually has a real diamond chip in it. So I just threw it on this watch. I should probably put it on something else. I'm going to do that today, actually, because we're wasting this meaningful band on this piece of garbage here. So I'm going to leave that one out, actually. We're going to do that. We're going to do that right after this, actually. Next one here is another... here we go. This one here was a gift again from my guy in Brooklyn. He had a crack in one of these G watches, so he sent it to me, so I got it. Another one there. All right, so next one is kind of special because this is one of the first watches I got when I really started getting involved in collecting. And this is back, again, in the hip-hop days when I loved the iced out stuff. And this company, I gotta tell you, this is from Ugleam. And they still make these watches. They still sell them. And you know what? I'm just blown away at how well the watch is held up. And this one here is their Geneva Elegante series. And again, cheap movement, nothing even to write home about. But they were done in all Swarovski crystals. And I have another one of these in my safe that is really meaningful. It was a gift from my parents for Christmas one year. Probably going back to the year, I don't know, we have to be going back to 2000, no, not even. I'd probably say 1990. No, maybe 2000, 2001, 99, 2000. And it's not this style, but this is the second one I bought because I liked it so much. All iced out. I mean, I wore the hell out of these watches, and it's amazing. Not a lot of stones are missing from them. So I gotta tell you, I would love to have a fully iced out diamond watch one day, but at this point in my life, it would have to be, legitimate. And, it's hard to rationalize that. Even the Invictas that I love, some of those have the diamonds, and you pay a lot more for them because of those stones. So it's hard to rationalize what I know is a $300 retail watch. I'd pay $1,500 for it because they do put a better movement, and then they put the stones in it. So I probably will never own one. But nonetheless, pretty cool. I mean, I think it is. And that's about all I have to show you guys. Yeah, that's about all I got for you guys. You know what I'll probably do? We're at 28 minutes. Again, I know this has carried on a long time, but I wanted to share that with myself. Oh, wait a minute. We got one left. Remember when I talked to you guys about replicas? I ordered this off eBay because they blurred out the name of the watch on eBay, or they photoshopped it. And I've been wanting to get this Diesel watch in my collection, okay? And Diesel makes this one. I have one other Diesel watch. This is like Only the Brave. I just like the color combination. I like the styling of it. And so I found one on eBay, and I said, hey, for $10, I'm going to buy that just to check it out. And it actually came with the name Diesel on it, which was surprising because, one, you're not supposed to sell replicas on eBay. You can't do that. And that's why they blurred the name. They just called it something else, like Only the Brave watch, or they worded it differently. And so none of this stuff works on here. It's all show, but $10. And this is what my point was. Like, if you were actually take the Diesel watch and hold these side by side, nobody who ever ordered this, even if you paid $100 and you thought you were getting the real deal, you'd get one feel at this and be like, yeah, this is not a real Diesel watch. So nonetheless, though, I got an idea of what it looks like, and I don't know, $10. I feel like spending $10. What are you gonna do? It looks cool in the watch box. All right, so what I'm gonna do next, guys, is I said I wasn't gonna review any of the other watches or talk about any of the other watches. I'm gonna pause the video, and I'm gonna go ahead and bust out a couple of those other watches for you guys. And I'm just gonna edit this together because I'm gonna have to do it anyway, and then upload it, and just keep going with a few more stories from you, and then we'll call it a day. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, guys, welcome back. So I busted out the remainder of the watches that are not Invicta, not Aragon, none of the newer ones, the better quality ones that I've shared with you guys. Again, these are more of the ones and some of the ones I want to share with you are not bad quality here at all. It's just these are some of the ones, again, from the old school collection, okay? So this next one I want to share with you guys, remember I mentioned earlier about the Jacob & Company watches. This was one of my favorite watches back in the day. And so this one here is, again, this one here is one of the Mac Daddies. It's missing stones, a very, very inexpensive watch, but the Times ones did work. It does have a screw-down case back, which is really quite meaningless because it's a very cheap watch. But you can still buy these watches from the manufacturer, the real deal. They're very, very expensive. I mean, Jacob & Company is a real luxury watch brand. But you can see even with this one here, I mean, all the years I wore this thing, I mean, the coating's coming off, and this is just an example of, you see it's missing a crown, missing a pusher. Very, very cheap, I mean, garbage watch, really. But it looked cool, and this is, you know, this was what my style was back in the day. So just another one from them. And here's another one from the same again, replica, Jacob & Company. And these ones here are replicas. They're down to the weight where they're actually weighted in the back, but they don't actually have the name on them any longer. The name is actually fallen off, so there is no markings on these things anymore. But nonetheless, that's what they were styled after. And here's the fully iced out one here. And you can see, like, right there's a triangle. That's normally where it would say it, just like on the other one, but it just doesn't have anything on there. But as far as the size, everything is exactly like the real deal Jacob & Company. This is a $180,000 watch if it was actually real diamonds, but these are all fake diamonds, fake cubic zirconians. But it is just amazing you can even buy something like this, and you can still buy similar watches online for, like, I mean, you're gonna pay, you know, $180 for them, which to me is just a waste of money. Personally, just because it's if you put $180 and buy an Invicta or Aragon watch, you're going to be getting a beautiful watch that's actually a quality, you know, quality controlled product. But nonetheless, it is one of my collection, and it is meaningful to me because it was a part of my life where I liked stuff like this, and it's just, again, part of the collection. It's not none of these are meant to be timepieces, or they're not worth anything. I mean, but they're worth something to me, and that's one thing I want to get from this, and why I wanted to share this video with you guys, because this video isn't about to push a brand to you or tell you, you know, hey, check out this, you guys need one of these in your collection. I mean, this isn't about anything like that, other than for my subscribers who share the love of watch collecting. I have, most of my subscribers are so positive, and they have a real love of just collecting lots of different brand watches. I mean, Invicta mentioned, I saw as far as a press release, something like that, they had said that that their average customer owns 10 watches by Invicta. And so, you know, it's amazing that that company, people just love them, and they just continue to buy them. And that's what's amazing about collectors. Like, some people never really started collecting watches until they discovered Invicta and all the cool styles, and just, there's always a new one you want, because they're always like, I mean, I think they just came out with a new redesigned Venom. It's like every time you think, all right, I'm cool for a while, they do something else. So, but my point is that, you know, I'm sharing this with you guys because not for you guys to say to come back, and I'm sure some of you knuckleheads out there will come back and make fun of me for this, and try to make some sort of the conclusion based on the fact that I own these. But the fact of the matter is, these are watches in my life that tell a story. It's part of my watch collecting journey, and these are worthless watches, absolutely worthless. And let me just beat you to the punch, morons. Just like you're Invicta. No, okay, not at all. But these are watches that don't hold any value other than to me. And they hold value to me, again, because they're part of my life that tells a story. I remember when I got them, who I got them from. And so that's the great thing about watch collecting. All right, so guys, stay positive, okay? All right, so the next one here I want to share you. Again, these aren't in any order. I'm just kind of picking them out. Next one here was one, again, when my mom worked at that big box department store, she got a great discount, and they had a pretty big watch selection. And Armatron has been around forever, and I think the Armatron, for the money, for the $50 price point, This is my life before Invicta, okay? I got these Armatron watches, and these are actually made, and I really like these, and they've held up really well. These are made to look like, I gotta find I have links somewhere around to resize these, because I don't think these will, let me just go ahead and try it out. I don't think this is gonna go on my wrist here. And if you wonder what I'm wearing today, it's this lovely limited edition Aragon. That thing's awesome. All right, so this one here, let's try this on. Oh my goodness, it still fits. There it is. So that's the Armatron watch. This is actually got a real itty bitty diamond chip, and it's made to actually look like a Movado. That's kind of what they were styled after. So I like the watch so much, and actually I still like this watch. This is something I would still wear, and I forget that it's in there. And again, I keep these locked up because these are valuable to me because of when I got them. And again, I like this so much, I had to get it in the gold too. I love this watch. These are awesome. All right, and I like the Armatron so much that I actually picked up this one here, and this was just another Armatron watch. It's got, I don't even know what it's not a chronograph, but it's some of these things are getting a little funny looking here. Got fingerprints all over them. One thing about stuff, guys, your fingerprints, just like firearms, your fingers got a lot of acid, your body does, and good to wipe stuff down. I should take my own advice. Wipe it down before you put it away. All right, there we go. Stainless steel, so you're not gonna have a problem. But this one here is just got, looks like hard to read, but yeah, day of the week, day of the month. Just a classic, basic dress watch. But I like Armatron. I think they still make some pretty cool stuff, and I like these watches. Like I would still wear this. All right, still fits. There it is. Not a bad looking watch at all. I really forget that I have these sometime. I'm kind of glad I did this video. All right, so moving on past Armatron now. Again, another one of the G watches. I love this style. I probably should one day just get one. Find one. Another one here. Another one of these 5 time zone watches with a white band. The cool thing about these is that everybody loved these at the time because the whole thing with this was accessorizing, and they would again locking clasp. So you didn't have to. Hopefully locking clasp. There it goes. So you didn't have to adjust the band all the time. That was something you didn't see on a lot of watches back then too. And when these came out, these were like 47mm was huge. I mean, if you were wearing one of these, and I remember the first time I saw a Jacob watch, every rapper was talking about it. It was in a Benzino video. And maybe someday I will get, if I can find it for the right price, the black on black diamond Jacob watch, just because that was something that really kind of changed my personality, my style too. And this watch addiction has progressed over the years, and so that's and this was one of the ones that did it for me. Next one here, what else we got? All right, next one here is another gift from my guy back east. He sent me this one here. I know you guys know what that is. It's an inspired Super Avenger. Not bad quality considering where it comes from. Of course, it is kind of falling apart now, but I mean, this thing, some people are like, oh man, you can't get decent. I mean, it's just amazing for what you can get this on the streets of Brooklyn for. I mean, this thing is like, I mean, you have a screw down case back. I mean, we don't know if it's stainless steel, but I mean, I've had this like for over 15 years. And the only problem with the band is on the top here, it's fallen off. That's because the screw came out. But I mean, threaded links. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I don't know. But I wore this one a lot too because I thought it was pretty cool. This is kind of like the first watch I got that wasn't, if I remember correctly, this is kind of the first time my style changed a little bit, and I started wearing the dive style watch, where normally I always did the iced out stuff. I always wanted to wear the hip hop style watches with the stones. This was the first one I ever got that actually made me say, hey, you know what? I kind of like this big, chunky watch style. And for you guys who are say, oh, Invicta does this and does that, and they're big and gaudy, guys, this Super Avenger by by Breitling, the real deal one, not the inspired one. Everything about this one is the exact size and weight. So this is not a small watch. This is a big, chunky watch. And you know what? It's just kind of funny how people don't say that about this watch. But nonetheless, everybody has their own tastes, right? All right, so this next one is the one I was telling you about, the diamond watch from Ugleam, Geneva Elegante. This watch, I wore the living hell out of this watch. And this one came with a bracelet and the watch for, I think it was about $200. This was a lot for me back in the day. It's still $200 is a lot of money, you know what I mean? But still, I mean, you know, all iced out. I don't know how many stones are on this, but this thing has fallen on the ground. This thing has flew off my wrist when I had tackled some guy. I mean, this thing is like just been beat to hell. And it's surprising that it's only missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stones. And there must be a couple hundred stones on this. And of course the crown doesn't screw down anymore. That's busted. But what do you want? This is you know, your cheap, no-name kind of garbage watch. But I gotta tell you, I still want to get another just because it's so friggin' iced out. It's awesome. I don't know. It's a story of my life. I mean, I remember the first time I got this thing, and you know, back in the day, that was the style. And I remember my friends being like, "Damn, you hang that thing out the window on a summer day." It's funny now. All right, so I got 2 left to share with you guys, or 3 left. This one here is a very meaningful watch for me. This is, again, back in that time when the Jacob watches came out. And before I got my hands on those 5 time zone ones, the only ones you can get was the real deal ones. Nobody was making anything inspired by. And so this company, Addy K's been around forever. They still make watches. You can still find a huge selection out there with U-Gleam. And I mean, Addy K's been around for a very, very long time. And they make a kind of, you know, modestly priced watch. They have different styles. I mean, I don't really know, you know, what movement they use or what, but this is part of their classic collection. And this was one that really kind of changed it for me because for what you can get this for, and this was about 75 bucks. They made them with different color stones, and this is such a unique watch. And it's not a bad quality watch either. I've had this watch for over, this would have been back in, I think the year 99 maybe, 2001 maybe. Still works, although the battery's dead at the moment. No stones have ever fallen out. It's stainless steel. And they, like I said, they made it to white stones, black stones, and this is one I wish I had a few more just because it's such a unique watch. You'll never find anything like this with the red ruby styled stones, and this is something I wear on kind of a rare occasion, but it is one of my favorites and one of the most special ones in my collection. And you know, back in the day, this was a big watch. I remember getting this for the first time and throwing that on the wrist, and people were like, "Whoa, that thing is huge." Now I mean, it's small, but man, just a special watch in my collection. It really is. All right, 2 more. This one here is one of the oldest watches in my collection. This is a watch my dad bought back in the day. My dad's not one to buy himself anything. He's always done everything for his family. My parents are amazing. And he bought himself a Seiko. And this watch actually, for those of you who are like, "Oh, well, Seiko is the best watch brand ever." You know, all this stuff has gotten better with technology and advances in machinery. And so this watch here is probably, I don't know exactly when this watch was made. I don't know if there's a manufacturing date on it. But I'll have to look it up. But this watch is at least, this has got to be at least 35 years old. I don't know, I mean, I assume it works. There's no battery in it at the moment. But it's called the Sports 100. It's a quartz Seiko watch. And my dad got this, and again, this had a defect. This was a really bad defect. I'm sure a lot of people had problems with this, that the pins on here would actually fail. And because I wanted to actually wear it, this is when I first started getting involved in collecting. This is sat in my dad's dresser drawer. You couldn't wear it. And before I wanted to, you know, when I started probably back when I bought that Waltham or Elgin watch, I said, gosh, you know, Seiko, that's a pretty well-known brand. You know, I'd really like to wear that, you know. And so I went to a watch repair guy, and he actually drilled and tapped the sides of these links right here, and he actually put in pins. Or what did he put in pins? He put in, yeah, I think he put in, I forget exactly how this thing attached, but he drilled holes in there and he put in some kind of pin in order to put the band back on the watch, and it's been on ever since. And you know, this one here is a little bit tight for me. Although there are micro adjustments, I can make this fit, which is kind of cool. So that's it. You know, this one will probably never get worn, but it is a special one because it was my dad's, and it's the only watch I could ever remember him buying himself. It's awesome. It's very special to me. All right, the last watch, again, I saved these 2 for last because these are the oldest watches in my collection, and they are ones that are very special to me. And, you know, some of you folks, you know, some of you knuckleheads out there were like, you know, one guy said, you'd be embarrassed to pass down an Invicta watch to your kid. You know, ridiculous. I'm sorry that maybe you've never come from a family with love and nurturing and, I mean, have that relationship. But let me tell you, anything my dad gives me is meaningful. It doesn't matter what it is. The fact that he got it for me and passed it down as his, I cherish it. And I think that's anybody who has love for their father or their parents would feel the same way. And if you don't, and I'm not going to call out his name, we tore him apart on the comment section there. But, you know, I'm sorry, I feel bad for you. But this watch means a lot to me. And this is a very cheap, inexpensive watch that I'll never wear, but it's special to me. All right, so the last watch is equally as a very special piece as well. I wouldn't say as equal, but very special. And this is for, again, I want to prove a point here, like I've always said, where guys are like, this watch isn't going to last you a long time. You know, Rolexes will last you forever, and this and that. Invicta, you're going to get 20 years, going to be broken. All right, this watch is the oldest watch in my collection. This is my grandfather's, who he passed away when I was a child. And I forget what year he was born, but my gosh, you know, I wish I had that information for you. But you know, he passed away, I would probably say maybe when I was 8, and I'm a lot older now. So this watch is definitely over 100 years old. And this one here is a Timex, and it's kind of cool because it actually says Great Britain on it, and I don't know if it was actually made there or what, but my grandfather was a very frugal man. He didn't make a lot of money, and back then people didn't spend a lot of money on things like this. And this is a Timex, water resistant. It just says here base metal bezel and stainless steel back. I don't know what it's made out of. I don't, the crown is actually got scratches on it, and the plating's worn off, but the case itself, the plating is still intact. All right, old leather band. And this was his watch. This is, I think, the only watch he ever owned. And for you guys who say things don't last that are inexpensive, and this is not, don't come back to me being like, oh, it's a Timex. This was a very inexpensive watch because he was not a man who spent money on stuff like this. But what I can tell you is that, and I'm winding it right now, because this is a hand winding watch, not automatic. As you can see, this watch still works after all these years. This inexpensive Timex watch. The old saying, keeps a licking, keeps on ticking. That was Timex's kind of thing, I guess, sales pitch. That is true. This watch still works. It still functions, and it's amazing to me that it still does. And my point being is that this is made at a time where the technology wasn't there. If you go looking at, just like one of my subscribers, he's got a very expensive Rolex watch in his collection. The technology wasn't there to produce amazing quality. Just because it's old doesn't mean it's good, okay? And the fact of the matter is that his Invicta watches hold better time than his Rolex watch that costs $10,000 if you want to sell it today. And the fact of the matter is that you don't know what kind of luck you're going to have with any product. And any product can last a lifetime, or it could fail. It could fail in a year. It could last 100 years. And so I'll put my trust in the Invicta brand with their Ronda and their Seiko movements and all the other movements that they use, and the Aragon and all these wonderful brands out there, that they're going to last a lifetime. And so this is just another fact of the matter that you don't know how long anything's going to last. We don't know what tomorrow brings. So, guys, that was a long video. I hope you stuck with me during the whole thing. Subscribers, man, it's been awesome. I can't wait till we break the 10,000 mark. Getting close. Another, 900 or so to go. It's been a lot of fun. I love the fact that somebody likes and appreciates, so many people like and appreciate watches like I do. And, I know I come across sometimes, I don't want you Rolex guys to hate me or anything like that. I think as long as you're respectful on my channel and you don't bash a brand, then I won't come after you. But nonetheless, it's cool to collect all watches. And if you're a watch guy who loves that Rolex watch or that Omega, and that's all you buy, and you can rationalize that this is the quality and this is why I like it, then that's great. That's more power to you. I like what I like. My subscribers like what they like. And so, don't come on here attacking, because we attack back. All right, folks, again, thank you very much for watching. I hope that video was fun for you guys. If it's, so I'm sure some of you clicked out. Yeah, it's not for everybody. But thank you for listening. Thank you for letting me share all these watches from my collection, from my past. And as always, have a great day, guys. Take care.